Folks, we are going to fire up some cartography tonight for the Eberron adventure that we've been creating, Crystals of Mabar, as such. Give me a second here for me to check my signal, kick through my spiel, and then we'll put 2 hours into this. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, it sounds like it's coming through pretty good. Okay, cool. So let's see. If you follow me on Twitter, I've just posted that I'm live on Twitter at Phil Kearney, as listed below. You know what? My name's Phil. I create role-playing game PDF supplements. I've been focused on 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Right now, we are creating an adventure for Eberron, 7th and 8th level characters in Karnath against some necromantic bad news. Let's see. If you haven't seen my work before, there's a link down below to a slew of the work that I already have published on DMsGuild. I always make everything 100% free preview. Even this adventure is going to be 100% free preview. If you click on any of the links down below and go into any of the specific books that are listed there, or products, PDFs, whatever, you can click on the eye. If you're using a mobile phone, there's an eye icon on the right-hand side of the screen, and if you're using a desktop or a tablet, there is a link underneath the picture. If you go into the actual each individual product, on the left-hand side there is the cover art like you'd see here, and underneath that it's going to have quick preview and full preview. If you click on full preview, it will open up a PDF document. You can read it cover to cover, full thing. Amongst all the stuff that I have down there's about 150 different illustrations. So you guys can check out the kind of work that I produce. If you're artist types, hey Renetico. If you're artist types, you can just check out what the art's like and enjoy that. If you're a D&D enthusiast, read through this stuff. Play a 20-level campaign if you want. And if you like how the stuff plays, I would love for you to purchase some of it to encourage more artwork and more development and production. So right now we've been developing the Crystals of Mabar. That's our spiel, so I'm going to launch into it here. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Me getting up to 1,000 followers, subscribers as it were, and getting 4,000 hours of consumed content is going to allow me to start monetizing, which means every time I stream, I get paid to paint. And that is not just the dream of all artists. So I appreciate anyone who's checking this out. Thanks, Renetico, for being here. Anyone else that comes through, be welcome to drop me a line in the comments, or if we're live, hit me up in chat. If you know where I'm at on Twitter at Phil Kearney, or if you find me on Discords, be welcome to kick with me. I'm looking forward to it. So, getting that cover out of the way, we're back into the underground lab, and we're on episode 18 of this, so I really feel like I'm kind of dragging my ass at this point. I'm going to see what I can do I'm going to get this water done. Not tonight. I'm going to continue peppering in this wall texture. And I hadn't looked at this for a little while, so I am really thrilled with how all this texturing is coming along. Obviously, this is going to be more on the scale that you guys are going to want to operate at. But I'm going to get rid of the grid. And this is a 74-inch by 74-inch map. It works fine in Roll20, but we'll have to provide you with the black and white version so that you can print it out more easily at home if you have a kitchen table where you play these things on. But I would encourage you to get into Roll20 because Roll20 is pretty damn good. So let's see. A lot of Phil streaming today. Yeah, Mondays are my thick days. Monday morning I do Spelljammer. Monday lunch I do Martial Powers. And then Monday night we do Eberron. We'll be back on Eberron Thursday night. Tomorrow morning we're going to be back into Spelljammer, building page art, interior art, tables, graphs, charts, diagrams, all the visual elements that go along with the book. And if you check out that Spelljammer stream for the mornings, you're going to see a familiar workflow process that we're going to go through with this adventure. Once the edits are done with this and we have Spelljammer out of the way, then we're going to be deep diving into Eberron, doing that every day in the morning, catching up with the same sort of assets, and then Mondays and Thursday nights will be shifting towards Martial Powers. So I'm going to just get into it. So let's set a timer. I had to start a little early tonight. I've got a date with an angel in about 2 hours. So I'm already dressed to kill. And I've got 20 minutes on the block. We're going to kick through about 6 of those and be done for the day. and then we'll be back again tomorrow morning to do some illustration. So let's see where we are at. I know that when we do here, and hopefully I'm just gonna be able to. Whoa! Come on, guy. What just happened? I don't know what happened, guys. Hold on. Why is this... Not only why is this full screen, but why isn't it not being full screen? Proof, pixel, extras, rulers. What happened? Okay, well, I mean, screw you, Ufus. Let's try that again. Hopefully you're not going to get all full screeny on me again, because that was weird. There we go. Dabu Frabbit, man. I don't know what was up with that. Anyway, we'll just open up the document again and kick into it. There. We're almost done with the water, but I just want to work on the walls right now, get those done. We have the walls, we have the floors, and then we have the water. Once those three things are done, this map should be done, and then we'll go outside to the Thorpe, the entrance, the village in the first act, the first thing that folks walk into in this adventure. So I'm actually really looking forward to getting back into that mix. I'm going to push this up to, yeah, we're at 90 pixels. That's where we're supposed to be. So I'm just going to keep peppering stuff in like this. This is what we do. And then we make this brush like that, and then we do like that. So I'm going to start by just going around the circumference here along the edges like we had done before. I've never done this before, so this is a lot. This is the process of me like figuring out how to do things, right? Like prior to this project, I've never built like color map walls like this. I do stick figures and shit in my own game, like super minimal effort, because like I say, I don't like my team to know when I'm using prepared content versus spontaneous stuff, so they have a more difficult time telling if we're on script or not, so that everything feels kind of the same to them. But that's not what you, I mean, whether you do that or not in your own game, if I'm selling you an adventure, probably need to have some decent map assets so you know exactly what we're supposed to be crawling through. So obviously I need to invest time and effort in building these maps out, and if it's going to be a digital product, then I really have no excuse not to have color. So here we are, building a color map. I like that. I like that a lot. So we're just going to keep pushing around the map here, doing stuff like this. But yeah, this is all me figuring out stuff in real time. I've never done this sort of, I mean, the last session was the first time we ever built walls like this. We've used the same, these same brushes and the same stuff. So I'm familiar roughly with this process from the other maps that we've done in this adventure so far. We're using a common sort of visual language, texture, and the same sort of brushes. But I've never used them this way specifically prior to our last session. So I am very much so figuring out how to do this in real time. Like I spent 2 hours figuring out how to do a roof, you know? Like, but I've never made a tiled roof like that in color before, but now I know how to do it. So this is that process of discovery that we get in, you know, as artists. So it's what you do. And the whole stream is about what is this process of creating PDFs. If I want to make an adventure, what's the kind of crap we have to go through to do that? If I want to make a rules supplement, what do we got to do that? And like these are the kind of things that I'm producing on stream, kind of as a proof of concept that, you know, this is how you can make stuff. If you've wanted to get into adventure design, or if you wanted to start brewing your own work and make it look professional, what's the process that goes behind that? You know, assuming that you think my stuff looks professional. But I'm evolving too. So I've only been at this for a couple of years, and most of the things I build are really pretty substantial. Like 20 plus pages isn't unusual for the work that I do, and that stuff takes months. So to be able to create it, to test it, to edit it, to do the page layouts, to do the map assets, if there are any, or any other illustrations that go along with the project, those things take a crap ton of time. So this is me keeping my ass in the chair, getting the work done, but also demonstrating, what does all this stuff look like, Like if you're going to hire an artist to help you with your work and you're wondering why is it so fucking expensive to hire an artist? Like, well, I've spent like 30 hours building this map with you guys so far. It's a little ridiculous. So it's you gotta keep that stuff in mind. But sometimes new people to the game don't know, like they haven't had the experience yet. They haven't had the opportunity to see how heavy of a lift these things can be. So it's nice to be able to throw this thing out there to say, hey, this is, this is an example of all those steps, all that processes. But yeah, I'm basically just whittling these things in here wherever it feels like. I'm just kind of letting my muse steer the ship right now. And I'm letting my brain slide into neutral. So whatever it is that she wants to say, I can maybe get her point across. And there may be other pilots that step in. It depends on who's in queue right now. But we'll see where the night takes us and what happens. But I like this just, it's a weird texture. It feels stonish to me. I think the texture that I'm getting across here it works. I mean, by the time your characters get down here, they'll have already seen multiple pillars and broken walls and stuff. So this, if they're using the VTT assets, obviously, then this texturing that the team ends up stumbling into as they get down in here. This is the final dungeon. So this language, this visual language that we're developing here should be pretty. If you aren't doing a one shot, if you're doing a one shot, your characters could start here, or they could start here, or they could start here, or they could start here. There's a couple different random places that you could start if you're doing a one shot. But if you're running this through as part of your campaign or as multiple sessions, then you're going to be outside and you're going to be working your way into this place. And so you're going to see this same language, same colors over and over again throughout the adventure. And so by the time we get down here, this should all make a lot, just like this should be familiar to the characters at this point, to the players. So there shouldn't be any difficulty with understanding, what do all these different things mean, because we'll have established all of that. So like this final dungeon is kind of using all of those different things together. Like this is where it all comes together for you. And blah. Phil says blah. So blah. There you go. Bloody blah with me all. I like the general density that we have going on here. It feels pretty good. I just want to break up the wall a bit. That looks pretty damn good, though. I just want to chop it up a bit. The further into the landmass we get, or into the rock mass, the less connective tissue I want. Because it becomes more living rock, so it's not fractured as much. But over here, where it's like really exposed, there's a shitload of texture. So hopefully I'm establishing some fun visual language here that's self-informing. Look at me buzzwording all these words. Is that 70 now? 80. 80? Yeah. Earworm. That second tier, that level 5 to 9, is such a great spot to have adventuring, because your characters are strong enough that you can beat them up and push them around a lot, but their spell power isn't so powerful that they have click to win. You know, like they don't have a bunch of stuff that can just get them out of jail, like with plane shift and shit. And the like 7th, 8th level, then the full casters are capping out at 4th level spells, while the hybrids are still at, like, all the other classes are at 2nd level spells. So their resource supply isn't so huge that you have to think really hard about how can I contain this stuff. Like, this is like level 7, 8 really is, I think, just like the golden spot of well, D&D in general, but just D20 adventuring. It is certainly where games seem to want to have you spend the majority of your time. But if I were to build my own system, in comparison to scaling power, I would stop at 10th. The problem with having too much power at low levels is that you have to keep ratcheting up the power. So by the time you get to really, really like 17th, 18th, 19th level in a 20 level game, you're either creating powers that are just ridiculous, or they're underwhelming because they're not any more powerful than, like, say, something you got at 14th level. So it just becomes a longer list of things to try to remember that don't necessarily complement or fold into each other. And I think D&D as a whole right now in 5e is suffering from what's the word? Cohesion. Like, all the different adventures that they create, they silo. Like, they don't interconnect stuff. They don't make their world grow. They're relying on old lore from past editions, other companies that were willing to invest. You know, TSR was willing to invest a ton of money into lore building and atmosphere in the game, and WotC has just absolutely cut the corners on all of that stuff. And they are doing homages to old campaigns, but they aren't willing to invest the narrative depth that made those worlds so interesting to begin with. So, like, Spelljammer came off feeling really trite. Curse of Strahd seems to be probably the deepest flavor and mechanical connection. But that was super early on in their process, when Wizards really needed to make sure that people were on board with what 5e was doing. So they really invested in making that thing look good and play well and be thorough and have lots of options for people to play around with to make them interesting. But as the edition lumbers on further and further, they invest less and less into that quality, and it's to the point now where they're doing a reboot, and a lot of people aren't necessarily on board with them. I think they've kind of burned bridges. I think they have a lot of face to recover, and I would like to see them be able to accomplish that, but I don't know how they're going to with their current path. So it's really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do to complete that redemption arc, you know? Everyone deserves redemption, but it can't just be handed to you. Redemption is something you have to fight for. Really, really got to fight for it. Ba, 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 ba. See, I have a microphone here now. You can barely see it. There. Microphone. Hello. I don't think it makes me sound more. I don't think it makes me sound any less echoey than it has been before. But I like having the space freed up on my desk. So I got a microphone boon. I don't necessarily need it. I'm a pretty Spartan fellow. I don't place a lot. Well, I don't place a lot of stock in having a lot of material possessions. But the things that I do have, I like to be high quality. So I'm willing to pay more for the few things that I have because I want to keep them around. You know. Start to push these things out here. Like I can really thin it down out here. There's a lot of dead space there. Like this whole area is just kind of like this is what I call this is in my games. This is a loading zone. Like you might not want to have your map larger than 75 by 75 squares, so that this map just barely fits inside with just a little bit of an edge along the sides, right? But so you have this loading zone area where you can just dump a bunch of token assets, so you can drag them over later on. I do that a lot. I've always got all these different tokens in Roll20. I've got all these tokens that are just hanging out in the margins and in the nooks and crannies of stuff for me to be able to just drop in whenever I want to do something. Not sure how many other people do that. I don't know how conventional my use of virtual tabletop stuff is or not. I just know what I like to do, you know, like how it works for me. But everyone's mileage is going to vary. And truth be told, I'm kind of enjoying streaming earlier in the earlier in the evening. It's I know that a 7 o'clock start in Seattle is like a 10 o'clock start on the East Coast. But traditionally, what happens is I finish my day job at 5, and then I either pick up around, do house chores or development stuff or like off-screen design or artwork that I'm not streaming tonight. And then when 7 o'clock comes around, I jump on and I stream for a couple hours. Then it's 9 o'clock, and I can start winding down for the night. But I think I like this working earlier or streaming earlier. So more people have the opportunity to kick in with us. Hey. But beyond that, it just makes I can just get stuff done. And if I wanted to push longer, I could. But I've got a 2-hour stop time tonight. But I think I'm going to start doing this stuff earlier in the evening. I'm really like, hey, my first 20-minute timer. So we're going to take a sip here. Keep at it. Let's do that. I got another ping today from the Bob Ross Reddits asking for my my brush set for the Bob Ross replicas that I can create in Photoshop, and so I may very well just put the ASP. I think it's an ASP file, but I might just go ahead and just build a little thing and make a little file and drop it on my my Patreon. I don't encourage people to use brush sets. I encourage them to create them themselves, but if you don't know where to start, I mean, I don't have to be a dick about it. It's not like I'm trying to keep it out of your hands. I just don't want people to sell themselves short on being able to discover their own artistic style. But I guess you got to start somewhere, right? I mean, if you're just now getting into digital asset production and you want to figure out how these things work, having a brush set for you to use as a starter isn't a bad idea. So do that. I have, when I was 5, I fell off a cliff, and I landed on my chin, and then a bike landed on top of me because I rode my bike off a cliff. So I was 5. It was about in retrospect, it was probably maybe like a 10, 12 foot drop. But you know, when you're only 3 feet tall, that's terrifying. And it jacked up my neck. And back in the 80s, they didn't know what chiropractic was, and they certainly didn't think about it for a little kid. So a lot of my the vertebrae around my throat are really just fucked up, and they've been grinding together oddly for decades, so that wears down all the connective material between them. So it's not unusual for me to get a tweak in my neck, but what's most interesting about it is that a lot of my opinions about myself, I think I dated this massage therapist for a while, and she says that this is all stuff that she learned in school. I'm not sure how much of it's actually her own philosophy, but it made sense to me at the time, and it's kind of stuck with me over the years. That the body stores memories inside of like you store memories inside of your body. So when you touch trauma that's inside of you, and like you start the healing process, it unearths the trauma that you're carrying. And so I've had these locks inside of my neck and my throat for decades, since I was a little kid. And it's prevented me from often literally being able to speak up for myself. Like I didn't have the confidence or I just wasn't brave enough often to like say things that I was afraid was going to offend somebody, and that would end up like leaving me abandoned or hurt or something like that. So it was very disempowering for me for a very long time. And so I've done a crap ton of guided meditation and personal work, and I can't undervalue, or rather I can't the value of a good counselor to be able to bounce things off of is massive. I can't compliment and recommend it enough for those that feel inspired to do so. So definitely check it out. But the point is that I've been going through this process for a number of years, and as I learn how to dive into my own emotions further and build a relationship with the things that I feel, it unlocks things inside of me. And most recently, the pain in my neck has been unlocking, and it's been coming out in the form of a lot of twisted feelings inside of my neck and like things being out of place and stuff. But I'm recognizing that it's my body finally learning that it can relax all the tension it has in my throat. So there's like these huge waves of toxins that just feel like cemented amino acids that are all gunked up in my neck like a protective brace to fold around the wounded vertebrae that have been stifling my ability to basically speak. And as that has been unraveling, what I think is most interesting about that process is like you've got this pituitary gland, I think that's what they call it, inside of your brain. It's basically like an underformed eye. It's like the third eye that you hear about, but it points down, apparently. And the big question that I've stumbled into YouTube is, why would this thing be designed to look down if all it is capable of doing is perceiving light? Where does this light come from within your body that this thing in your brain would be even perceiving in the first place? And the guru answer is it's your heart. That your heart is a light generator that guides you to truth through looking inside yourself. Instead of looking outward, you look inward. Like, these are all terms that are like super buzz phrase, catchy little bloody blahs. But apparently the actual physics behind it is that like it literally looks inside for the light that's generated from the pulse of energy from your heart beating. So as you build a stronger relationship with your heart and your emotions, that light becomes stronger. And so the reason I'm bringing all this up is that as I decalcify these wounds inside of my neck that were trying to protect me, what it's doing is it's not dripping off the side of my neck. It's opening up this, like I can feel this channel opening up inside of me, pulling away from the spine. And there's all this energy flow that is starting to come up from my heart into my head. And it's motivating and inspiring the speech that I have to go through my voice box as it rises through my body. So it's really interesting, this flow process, because I keep getting these interesting surges of energy as I talk about. Art is really a gateway to turning off your brain, to allowing a greater power to be able to flow through you in this creative flow. And where I'm at right now is I get to push pixels and dot things, and whoever it is that's in charge, that's pushing the pixels and being the creative muse inside of me, is the one with the voice, and she gets to speak through me. And that's kind of the deal, is that I lend myself over to whatever she feels inspired to move through me. And part of that process is she gets to say whatever she wants. So this is part of that process as I open up that negative space inside of me, like that emptiness, that void. That voice becomes stronger inside of me, and I can feel like I get these surges as I move further and further into the art production and turn off my brain more and more to be able to produce these things, I can feel that energy surging. And through the meditative work that I've been into, I can feel that light now. Like it used to feel like fear because I didn't know what it was, but now that I'm starting to build a relationship with it, it feels like strength. And which is really exciting to me because I've always been afraid of, if I follow through on my end of this deal and just completely turn off my brain and let her say whatever she wants, what's gonna happen? And so part of it is me learning how to trust the process of allowing whatever it is that she wants to say to be said, and this is currently what it is that she wants to say. So I don't know what the big conclusion to all of any of that is. It's just, this is part of my process of discovery and allowing the art to flow through me. It comes with a price, and that price is talking about weird shit on occasion. It's just how it works. I'm kind of excited as that relationship builds, like what more interesting things. Like I like to think about I can't remember the name of the actor, but he was Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he had that movie called Limitless. And it was fascinating. That movie resonates with me a lot because it feels like that same process. Because a lot of times when I fall into these flows, I start to remember stuff that I didn't know that I remembered. Sometimes it's really traumatic and it might make me cry. But a lot of times it's just data that I didn't know what to do with. And there's like different points in the film where he like starts to correlate things that he knew in his life, but he didn't realize that he knew it. Like he just stumbled onto it at some point. And I get glimpses of that. It's fascinating. It's fascinating how the brain actually does retain all that crap and it just kind of spits it out when it feels like it needs it. But being able to build that deeper relationship with your emotions unlocks that energy, because you're not having to invest as much energy into keeping your shit straight, Like if you let the emotions do what they're supposed to do, they kind of auto-correct your navigation. So you don't actually have to invest that much energy yourself into doing it. At least that's what I'm finding. And as a result of that, I get to open up more energy for me to be able to discover things that I'd forgotten, and being able to see how those connect together. And that leaves me feeling like almost like I can see how things are connected and how they're supposed to be connected. I like correlating, and I like being able to find similarities between different data systems, and like being able to break down how things connect from one area to another, which is like kind of like how a lot of the RPG stuff that I build, it all interconnects into a bigger piece of machinery that I get to chunk out in the smaller books. But when you pull it all together, it becomes more and more expansive. And I feel like that's kind of my life experiences in general, as a whole, which is really exciting. It's really motivating to be able just to keep pressing on. Like if I just stay alive just a little bit longer, what's the next amazing thing I didn't realize was true all this time that I get to reintegrate? It makes me feel younger. It makes me want to be more fit and eat better and have a cleaner house. Which again makes me think of Limitless, because that was all about straightening up your own house and opening up your ability to connect things and not have your own crappy behavior prevent you from hitting the marks that you can achieve. So, I don't know, whatever that's worth. But again, I make all these streams available for people to look at whenever they want, and I know that people will just randomly come along and click on one of them, and maybe they pick to just a random point in time on the video, and maybe I just happen to be saying something that completely resonates with what's going on inside of them, and I make a bigger difference for them than either one of us expected. And that's kind of cool. gonna try to lighten this up a little bit. Again, the further away we get from wall spaces, the more gaps I want, the less texture I want as you go further and further into heavy bedrock. So we use a larger brush. We're at 100 right now. Like we were using 90 over here and then trimming away at it, but like the further out we move, the larger pieces we can use, and then we delete more of it. We know what's out there. Maybe there's a happy little Zorn. Just wants to have a gem for a friend. I know I'm being super nitpicky here, but I like the flow of density. It's a great mental exercise, or a great artistic exercise, I guess. It's the right way of expressing that, of getting a good feel, so that I have the proper amount of density around the traversable area. And as you move further and further away from open space, then again the less and less is there. I like that progression, and I just want to make sure that I build that out consistently, because this is a good skill set to accumulate. It's like stippling. I mean, it's literally stippling. So, and stippling is the process of like sequencing, like spattering dots onto a space to create the illusion of shading or texture, or the illusion of form in a space. So being good at manipulating the density of pixels versus open space, and the size of the brush compared to the amount of space that's there, those things are self-reinforcing. I feel like the closer to the wall, the smaller I want to bring this. Like I want to bring this down to like 70 or 80 here, but like further out here, I want to be like 100, 125, right? 150 right now, even further out. But at this scale, it doesn't look big at all. But as you pull further and further into the piece, it becomes more significant. But I think it looks good. I'm happy with it. I'm really, really happy with it. I gotta be careful about this, though. I don't want to erase stuff just to erase it and just have to do it again, because I could just do it differently. I could do this a billion times and always end up differently, and I could be happy with different permutations of it. I really got to go with what Anzafer once told me, that good enough's enough. God bless you, Anzafer. I hope you're doing well, my man. Another 20-minute mark. Grab a sip. And we keep at it. So let's finish this trim. Oh, I just locked up. I'm going to hit save real quick, and I'm going to have to relaunch it. Saving. 66, 80, done. Close that out. Occasionally, the OBS software that streams doesn't like to interact with Adobe products quite properly. You'll see that crop up on InDesign as well as Photoshop. Possibly After Effects. I don't know enough about After Effects to say. I always liked After Effects. It always seemed like a cool thing. It just never had much practical reason to get into it. I almost did when I was looking at doing Flash page design way back in the early 90s. Flash. What, God, who was it? What company did Flash? So, I could swear it started with an M. I can't remember for the freaking life of me. But that's when Vector, like Samurai Jack, came out, and it was using After Effects and Flash to create those to create that show, which was really inspiring. I love Samurai Jack in general, but I was never a huge fan of the art style. I actually fell in love with the art style when I watched Tarkovsky's Clone Wars, and then later Primal, of course. But Samurai Jack was such a primitive version of that animation style. It was really cool seeing that progress over the past few decades. But I always dreamt of recruiting and like making enough money doing stuff like this to be able to hire an animation studio for me to make animated D&D like shorts, like music videos, like animated music videos, you know, of original content just set to whatever music I like, about whatever setting I like. Like I want to do Dark Sun stuff and I want to do Planescape stuff, but it's the last time I looked into it, it's ridiculous. It's like $10,000 at the time when I was looking at it in the early 2000s. It's like $10,000 per minute to hire a Korean animation studio to take art assets and build animations out with it. And it was a much heavier lift than I was capable of affording or willing to invest in. But I really feel like AI is going to give us the opportunity to be our own home animators here, probably in the next 4 or 5 years. So I could take a song and build keyframes and character rigs and drop them in the animation studio and have the AI render it out. I think that's going to be possible. Honestly, I'm looking forward to that. I am envisioning in the next 10 years having freelance animators be able to use these tools to be able to create, you know, unique animated or whatever type of videos for the same cost that we're paying for color art now. Like, oh yeah, I can give you 1 minute of animation for $400, you know? Like, jeez. Once we get down to that price point, like if that actually happens, oh my god. I might have to shift gears. And then we're going to have so much bandwidth that we'll be able to integrate small animations like that just into browser assets. So like instead of having tokens on Roll20, it's going to be animated tokens, you know? I can see why Hasbro would want to get in that direction with D&D because of how much IP they have that could eventually build into that stuff. I just don't think the company has the professional maturity to be able to pull it off properly in the game industry. But I mean, hey, I've been wrong before, so we'll see. I'm interested to see where we're going to be at in 10 years. I just hope I get to be around to see it. because God knows what's going to happen, you know? That up a bit. Randomize the lies. I am looking forward to getting back into actual page illustration tomorrow. God, that's exciting. There's 2 illustrations I have a vague idea of illustrations that I want to put on the first few pages of the Spelljammer document that we've been producing. Now that we're starting to get into layouts, we know where the art assets are going to sit on the pages. So that makes my brain look at the surrounding material and like, you know, what are we talking about on this page? And what's the coolest thing? Like, what's the coolest thing I can pull forward on that? And my brain is starting to feed me ideas. And this is when we start to develop we can develop our visual language for how we want the stuff inside the book to look. And I honestly have no idea what that's going to be. Like I said, I have some vague ideas about what I think is going to happen, but I don't actually know how it's going to shape up. So I'm already being fed like a carousel of images that are just kind of flickering through my head of it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And like, I approve any of that, whatever you want to fire in. But it's what I know it's doing is it's starting to build a self-referencing catalog of images that I can lean into for when I turn off my brain. It'll start grabbing whichever of those images feel like it fits into the space properly, and it'll start feeding that. That pixel into the space. So it's happened a number of times. I know what that process is. So by the time we get to it tomorrow morning, I've had the night to process. Sleep is amazing. Do not underestimate the power of sleep when you are attempting to be creative, because when you sleep, you withdraw from this meat machine, right? And then you get to go back to source, where it can feed you all the information that you actually need to be able to get through the next day. So if you have a good night's sleep, and it doesn't need to be 8 hours, it's whatever it is that you wake up feeling rested with, because everyone's different. But whatever it is that you need to be able to calibrate and feel rested for your day, grab that when you want to do something creative. Because when you come out of that torpor, you're going to have all that information that has been queuing up as dreams and just background information is going to be able to settle into your system and then flow out of whatever artistic devices that you're using to express this stuff, whether it's music or, in my case, it's pixel painting or whatever, a chisel with sculpting or whatever your weapon of choice is. Sleep is the opportunity for that information to self-organize and connect together to integrate into whatever your future work is going to be. So the more you're capable of turning off your brain and allowing that autonomic process flow, the more it's going to be able to pull those references images out of queue, basically, and then dump them into space without you having to necessarily know where that process is going. At least that's the process that I follow. So, but that's the process that I've always wanted. I always really like I said, I grew up listening to Bob Ross, and Bob would just sit there and hammer out work while he was just talking about whatever he wanted to. He didn't have to be in deep concentration to be able to produce his work. And I know now that he actually practiced each piece multiple times before going on camera, because then he does it 2 or 3 times. He knows where it's going to go, and he can start hitting the beats easily. But that discovery process was legitimate that he had to go through to be able to produce the things. So he gets an image that he likes, and it becomes natural for him to be able to do it. And then he can start hammering it out, and it looks like he expects it to look like. But there's that that ideation process that you have to go through. And I didn't know any of this when I was a little kid. So my whole system was built around, you can speak freely about whatever's in your heart while you're producing visual assets. And like this process that I'm doing right now, like literally, is like, this is all first time for me. Like I haven't done any of this before. But it gets to manifest. So pretty happy about that process. So I'm really hoping I get a decent night's sleep tonight. And like I was doing some background color texturing for the page this morning after I finished the Spelljammer ship tokens that we had been working on. Those are all done. Now we're in the actual page production. And I started off with just texture and color background, but I'm going to do actual illustrations tomorrow. And we're going to let that, whatever that texture is, just manifest itself in time whenever it decides it's ready to go. Now I'm going to pepper at this, pull back a bit. Just thin this up a bit. So hopefully, I think just creating art is just interesting to people. If you are an artist, seeing how other people's techniques work is fascinating, and if you aren't an artist, it's just magic. Pixel magic. How did you do that? You gotta learn. It's a process. Everything's just a process. Hence the term procedural generation. One of my favorite terms. I like this variety though. It feels right. That was a good pop. Holy crap. That's like making these like little chains and these like little fissures that move along. Just like look for points where I can connect them where it looks like just like an interesting shape. I've discovered another pattern. It's scaling this marching, this connectivity, this marbling effect that we've got going on here. All I have to do is create these connections, and then as I get closer to open space, I just make the brush smaller. That's pretty straightforward. I'm really surprised I hadn't realized that, but you don't realize it until you invest enough time and effort to see the pattern, right? And that's what I'm seeing now. So that made my heart surge, because it opened up a new space for me inside to be able to explore further. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a new revelation, but I still think I think what we already have inside here, where are we at? Looking at like 60 is probably the smallest we need to be. A little chunk there I can play with. Right. Man, my body is just surging. I do not know what the hell is going on, but I am moving through a space, man. Yes, like that. I hear you, Timely Timer. Let's get time. Well, how are we doing? It's only just now 7 o'clock. We have a whole hour left. Oh my god, that's amazing. We are at the halfway point though, but I am pretty happy. I mean, we're making a lot of noise, that's for sure. I'm gonna come in here and finish blotting these things out. Replace that visual language on the other map as well, but I'm not gonna do that right now. I just want to get these things in place so that I can set myself up for success when they come back through. Yeah, so far so good. So what? God, my heart is surging so hard. I don't even know what's going on. It is just exploding inside of me right now. I have no idea what's going on. There's something. It feels like it's bigger than me. I don't know what is happening. Breathe. Just keep breathing, Gurney. You're gonna be A-okay. I'm feeling somebody else's fear. It's nearby. It feels relationship based. Nope, that's way too big of an eraser. Push out like that. I wonder if there's a different way I can do this. Like, you know, more methodical? I feel like there is. I gotta fix my chair. It's all falling apart. Hold on. Let's fix my seat. Fix my seat. And we're gonna explore. All right. Give me a minute. I just want to play through this area for a few. and then we'll experiment some more. All right, LeFou. Yeah, significant difference there to here. So I'm gonna work on this a bit. Actually, I think this is the problem. I'm gonna thin this down a little bit and use a smaller font. I can use this larger stuff way out here. I need to dot it out a little bit more. We can be down here in the 80s. That should be fine. What was that? A weird grid just flashed. I'm gonna hit save because that was weird. You know, because I don't understand it. Let's go, let's hit our eraser here and dot this out a little bit. Here. All right, almost there. I think I almost got this to the point where I like how it's thinning down. Okay, we're gonna let's lean into this. Let's see. That's a 60. Okay, so let's try this. Let's start here. We start with a 60. And then we go to 70, and then 80, and then 90, and then 100, 125, 150, 200, 175, geez, 200, what, 250? And then back down to 60. And then 70, 80, 90, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, 250, 70, 80, 90, connected. Take this back down to 60, 70, 80, connected. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 125, 150, 175, 70, 80, 90, 95, 50, here, 175, 200, 250, 200, 200, 200, 175, 175, 175, 100, 25, maybe, baby. Let's just keep at this for a little bit to see how it turns out. 70, 80, 90, done. $60, $70, $80, $90, $100, $125, $150, $175. $70, $80, $90, $100. This is kind of fun. It is methodical and it is procedurally generated, so I'm into it. 50, 75. Too close. Let's just do this for a few 60s. This might be a much simpler way to express this stuff and be less chaotic so that I can organize it better. You can see that these things are kind of get in the way. So let's go back up to, let's go to 70. Let's do that. Because at some point these things just run out of room. They end up bumping into each other, and I can regress back down to a smaller scale. And like now we're at, like here we're at 60, right? And then we're here at 70. We can go back down to 60. And this is 80. Is that right? Yeah. See, look how we're running. Oops. 80. Look how these things are just naturally connecting to each other. This is fascinating. And then 90. That should actually be 125, so back down to 100 here. And then 125, back down to 100, 90, 80, 90, 100, 80, 90, 80, 70, there. 80, 90. 100, 125, and that connects there. That is a very natural process. I am really happy with that. Let's go back down to 70 and just fill in some gaps. And then back down to 60 here. Like, this just might be just like a better way of doing this. Was that 100? Yeah. I'm pretty hip with this. Okay, I'm gonna grab this, cut that. Hating myself right now. Just obliterating all that, and I still have it all. It's still there. Let's leave this area that I have done out. All right, so let's see what happens now that we know how to do this, right? So we got our 60. Now we know our 70. We got our 80. Then 90. go. It is. Yeah, it's on Mondays I stream 3 times a day. On Thursday I stream twice, and Sunday I stream 0. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, Saturday I stream once. And I'm oscillating between 3 different projects. This is the Eberron adventure that we have been streaming, episode 112 or something insane like that. And then we have the Spelljammer project that we do in the mornings right now, and that's up to 90. And then we got Martial Powers, which is like 50 something. We just cleared a year on Martial Powers. All my shit's kind of slow cooked, but it's pretty good when it's done. So I mean, I think it's worth the wait. I like to tell myself it's worth the wait, because otherwise I would just absolutely go insane with how long these things frickin' take. So, and the lies we have to tell ourselves to keep our shit going. 80, 70, 70, 80, 70, 80, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70, 80, 80, 80, 70, 60, 60, 70, 60. These are different pixel sizes: 70, 80, 90, 100, 125, 50, 175, 200, 250 is the largest I'll go. And then to 60 is currently the smallest we go. So this fits here at 80, and this is 70, 60. But yeah, this is my side hustle. So I've got a day job that I put in my 40 hours, but as of the pandemic, it's now a work from home job. So I get to stream in the morning with my coffee, and then when 8 o'clock here in Seattle rolls around, I just log out of being an artist and log into being an analyst, and switch the side of brain that I use for a while, and then we get back into it. When we're done with the day job, then we go back into being creative again. 60, 70, 80, 90. No, I'm just gonna do that. Gonna pick at this right down the line. Cool, we roughed that up a little bit, so let's go back in here with our 60 pixel brush and just pop, pop, pop. Tap, 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 taparoo. See how this turns out. We're experimenting. All this stuff is experimentation. This is the first professional cartography project that I've ever worked on. Here's the map for the undoctrinated. Here's your grid. It's a 74 inch by 74 inch map, underground. Just a quick look. You can check the I've done a lot of content talking about this particular dungeon in the past, so I'm not going to grind through it again. But once we get into, once the layouts are done, once the edits are done and we get into layouts, then we'll break up these maps into little pieces so we can talk about like each individual room as its own little space to talk about, and we'll be able to break it up in the actual document similarly as well. Dennis says, how's the weather in Seattle? It is only Photoshop, no Dungeon Fog Incarnate. Do you draw beforehand as a reference and then redo in Photoshop? any one-page dungeons. If you, I don't have any one-page. Again, this is the first adventure that I've ever created dungeon, like professional cartography dungeons for. So I don't have a large catalog. But if you check this, like we're up to like 100 and what episode is this? This is episode 113. So like literally like 225 hours worth of content so far, building all these different assets. So you can go back to like, I want to say it's like episode 25 or 30 maybe, where I started designing this. This is like the 4th iteration of this dungeon. We started off with a rough idea. We play tested it, didn't work right. Rebuilt it, play tested it, it worked better. Rebuilt it, play tested it again, and now we finally get to this final version. So most of the maps we have at least 2 different versions of that we've crawled around inside of. I look forward to doing one-page dungeons in the future, but I'm not there yet. So I'm still learning how, I'm learning like my visual language for cartography, since I've never done one before. I have to develop it all, and this is such a fun project to do that with. And Eberron is like my default campaign in my games. We've got a 17th level Eberron campaign going right now in Aundare. But I've been an Eberron junkie since like 2008, 2009, something like that. I just Dark Sun and Sigil were my go-to campaigns in 2nd edition. Sigil was my go-to in 3rd edition, and then like 2007-ish, I started picking up into Eberron, and then I stayed in Eberron pretty much from thereafter. I played Eberron in the Cypher system instead of playing 4th edition. Big fan. What? Forgot. Sigil is Planescape. Eberron is its own world. Dark Sun is Dark Sun. I mean, there's nothing else like it. Dark Sun's insane. But I played Dark Sun in 3rd edition. It was super cool. Or rather, I ran Dark Sun as 3rd edition. I'm a forever DM. I play once every other week for like 3 hours, and that's it. I've got a Rakdos Artificer. $70, $80, $70, $80, $80. That's $90. Sorry. $80. Yeah, $80, $80, $90, $80, $70, $70, $80, $70, $80. $70, $80, $80, $90. But yeah, since I've never done these before, I don't know what the language is. I'm having to develop it as we go, like build a consistent language that I like. And we've never had large groupings of bedrock like this for us to flow through. And I had created all of this before I realized this scaling pixel language. So, and now I'm in love with that. So that's what we're doing now, throwing away 3 hours worth of work, because that's the process of discovery, baby. I'm a ranger, baby. I gotta say, man, the Liam Neeson A-Team movie, I love that movie. That is such a freaking fun film. It's a D&D campaign ran in the A-Team motif, but those guys are running the shenanigan pillar like 80% of the time. It's like 20% 20% combat, 10% social, and like 10% exploration and 60% shenanigans. Like that is the challenge breakdown of the A-Team movie. Could not be a larger fan. I love how these things just connect. God, it just feels so right. I like how this has turned out. Fairly consistent. Just gonna hit the eraser a little bit here just to chop it up a bit. Are you trying to shoot down? Exactly. No, they're trying to fly that tank. Exactly. God, that is just like that is the A-Team movie in a nutshell. They're trying to fly a tank. it's so freaking legendary. I love it. I love that she gets it too. Like she wants to hate them, but she can't. So funny. Just enough connections there to make things make sense together. But broken enough, yeah, I think that's working. Oh my God, that is working. Cool. Okay, well, don't pat myself too hard on the back. I'll break my arm. So let's get back to work. $70, $80, $90, burp, burp. $70, $80, $90, burp, burp. Bradley Cooper. That's his name. He was also in the A-Team. A-Team, Rocky Raccoon, and Limitless. That was his name. Let's try it this way. Just doing 70s down the line. And now we're too far down. We don't have any visual language anymore, so we'll go back down to 60s. Weather in Seattle equals 50 something. Not bad. It's a late March day. It gets down into the 40s at night. I have a wood burning fireplace right behind me. It's not burning any wood currently, but that there's always the risk of that changing at any moment. I'm a big firebug enthusiast. Folks get me gift cards for oh, no wonder that's messing up. I get gift cards for like Home Depot so I can buy lumber. That's like my Christmas gift from family every year. It's like, go grab yourself some firewood, Phil, and make a fire. So much fun. I had a wood burning fireplace in my bedroom when I was growing up in Missouri, and so I got pretty damn good at building a decent fire. It seems like a nominal skill, but it's surprising how often you run across fire pits and barbecues that don't know how to throw a fire. You know, they don't know how to build a good fire that can last. So it's a useful skill that keeps me on the roster. I am no survivalist, though. I am very much an urbanite. But I grew up in rural Missouri, so I've got my my woodsman credentials. It should be an 80. $70, $80. Despite my better interests, I'm starting to get into the new Quantum Leap that's on, I think it's on Peacock. I was a pretty big fan of Quantum Leap, the original Scott Bakula version, way back in the day. I used to watch that and Otherworld. I think it was a 2-hour block. Huge Farscape enthusiast. By God. That show is awesome. I don't know if Ben Browder is actually a good actor or not, but he sure as hell can play his role. That's kind of working out. Kind of really digging on this. I don't have any established rules for erasing yet, though. Just making the texture. I always do a mix of adding and subtracting when I do stuff. I'll add in the line art, and then I'll erase some of it. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing actual book illustrations, and you'll see. You have an opportunity to see that process as well. I'm not sure if I want to do spin doodles or if I want to do silhouettes. I've been doing silhouettes for the ship tokens, but I traditionally do spin doodles for interior art. So I'm not sure how that's all going to play out, honestly. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where the muse takes us on that one. And I'll show you guys, if you tune in with me tomorrow, I'll show you guys what I mean by a spin doodle. But you can also check out the Elemental Key playlist that I have on my channel that uses the spin doodle method. But I just started using silhouettes with the ship and monster tokens for the Spelljammer stuff. And I'm thinking I'm going to go and I used silhouettes on the book cover that we did for this adventure as well. So I think I'm going to stay with the silhouette model throughout all of this book. But Spin Doodle creates the best filigree and just random, just like patterns and like straps and like real Wayne Reynolds sort of equipping the characters. So I really enjoy the freedom of that and like how much like Silhouettes is a lot more structured. I'm operating within the lines. You know, I make a black outline and then I colorize it, comic book style. But the spinning style is just like a lot of chaos that just kind of lets you acid trip your way into something more substantive. This connection language is so great. Bah! I think we're making much better time now that we have a structure around it, because before I kept on going over the same area again because I wasn't confident that I was doing it right, so I was questioning the lines that were actually present. But now that we're building this thing out, it's much easier for me just to feel confident that what we have is what it's supposed to be, because it's following a pattern of, like, it's providing a procedural generation. I can trust that the absence here and the denseness here, this is all okay. That was what is that, 100? That's too big. So this should be an 80, and then that's a 90. Like, I can do things, and that's good enough. Much stronger visuals. Very, very happy with that. And I'm making a lot more time. So this is great. I'm really happy to, again, I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know about this process until we just created it. But now this is something I can go back and always do this. No. I'll go up to 70. Get out of here, scallywag. 80. So I still got, I only got 20 minutes left. Holy shit. Am I less than 20 minutes? 7:41. Wow. I'm on my last surge. I think I'll be done in 10 minutes ish. $60, $70, $80, $90. So this should be 100. Nice. Nice. 25, 150. See, now that I know how to do this, I should be able to just burn through this a lot quicker. This is epidemic music that I'm listening to. I have a licensed subscription, so any music that it's kind of like Spotify or whatever else. But I just happen to, I don't know. I just happen to like epidemic. I spec a lot of the music that I enjoy here are probably available elsewhere. I don't think there's like unique licensing agreements. Maybe there is. I don't know. I'm gonna go to here. And then we go to 70. And just kind of chaos these things in. I don't have to really think about where they're going. I just want to kind of tumble the brush around a little bit. Let it do what it do. And then 80. And now that I'm starting to get the hang of this, I can start kicking through faster. 60, 60, 70, 80. 80, 80, 80, 80, 80. 90 connected. 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. Now we're at 100. And since we got this little L shape here going, it's got these little jags and barbs. Anywhere there's a kind of like dominoes, wherever there's a bit that's sticking out, that's where I can plug in the next piece. So it's always got this marbling effect that's following a logical progression that you can follow around, and it has an intuitive visual language that's consistent. So $125 should be next. Yep, that's 150. So we're at 125. We'll be there in a minute. Now 150. This is where we're at here. There you go. Now we're at 175. Now we can do some more connective tissue. Wherever I can span the gap. Like if I want to put something like here, if that's the space that it takes to connect them, that's the space. Like I only needed that much, so I can make that brush smaller to connect these things here, right? There we go. So what I need to do is, I'm learning things here. What I need to make sure I do is not do too linear, so I just have like these straight paths. It doesn't feel natural for just like bedrock, so I need to break it up a little bit like that. I'm still, and I want to make sure I have the same amount of eraser density in different areas. It's like here and here. And this is just me getting used to density, pixel density. How much pixel information is inside of a like literally inside of an inch, right? Drop this in here. You know, like, is this more dense over here than it is up there? Good, and that's the way it ought to be. Yeah, man, this is cracking around. I wish I had found something so methodical like this for the water, because the water has just been murdering me. It takes so much time to do all of the water the way that I've been doing it. There must be a better way to do it. I don't want to find it because I've done so much water. I want to stay with this same method, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that will evolve with other maps. Ain't bad. We are almost out of time. 7:52. I bet my alarm's gonna pop like in a minute. Five minutes. Want a little bit more density over here. I gotta make sure I don't erase too much close to the open space. That's a lesson I learned. Great discoveries today, guys. Great discoveries. We are making leaps and strides, yo. I'm about to sign off. So I'm going to be back in 10 hours to work on Spelljammer illustrations. I've got an idea of what we're going to create, but the specifics aren't my job. That's what the Muse does. She knows where, she sees it already. She can see all of it in the future. In that null space where the Muse live, with Mount Olympus where there is no time. like, yeah, it's too much evenness here. So I'm going to break that up a bit. This part's easy. Connect this tissue. Just like that. Just a little bit more density over here, I think is what I want. There we go. Interesting. I like this. It'll be a little while before I'm perfect at it. But this feels like a skill set worth chasing, so I'm fine with having thrown away that. I mean, look at that's not bad for like 20, 30 minutes worth of work compared to what I was doing before. It's just, you know, put the target in the circle and pull the trigger. Very auto, you know? Takes care of itself. Break that up a bit. Look at that line. All right, that's my timer. This has been an amazing discovery experience today. I am tickled pink to have discovered this. I'm glad that y'all got to tag along and find it with me. It's magic to me. It's just raw pixel magic. I love it. So, drop that there. There's that and that. All right, that is set. I got a date with an angel, so I'm going to take off for the night. Back in 10 hours. We're going to do some Spelljammer artwork and like artwork, not just tokens, but like actual illustrations, so like book illustrations. It's going to be fucking awesome. And so this is where we're at for now. I'm going to probably finish. I am hoping. I have no idea how I'm going to pull this off, but I am hoping to get this texture, this wall texture done and the water done by the time we come back Thursday night. I have no idea how I'm going to pull that off, but that is my hope. So I look forward to seeing y'all again. Like, subscribe, bell icon. Watch some hours of content to help me get to my 4,000 hours and my 1,000 subscribers so I can start monetizing artwork like this. And yeah, guys, I will see you all on the flip side. So, outie. Laters. Thanks a lot.